Hello students. Yesterday I gave you some assignments and I found that most of you have done the excellent answer. Gave the excellent answer, and this is the time to discuss the answer for your uh, to increase your writing ability. And I will discuss now that how to gain more marks in exam. Basically, you have to go through in detail uh, the topics to gain more marks. This is the primary criteria. And for the MCQ portions, you need to have some depth, some deep knowledge on the subject. Basically, I saw that most of them have corrected the MCQ mostly, and the maximum marks in MCQ section was gained by some of you students. The marks is 19 out of 20. It is the highest marks, but most of them have done a mistake that I think that is a confusion was there, so the mistake was done by you. So let's start about the answers. First question was which one produced androgenic haploids in anther culture? Anther wall. Some of you gave the answer anther wall, but in the class I told that anther wall and the tapetal layer of the anther wall are diploid in nature. So due to the totipotency nature, some diploid cells of plant will also give rise the diploid plantlet in the culture media. So the answer will be the young pollen grain. The second one is the answer. Second answer is the recessive mutation expressed immediately is the answer, because we all know that if two alleles are there, the dominant will always express the mutation where is present or not. The dominant one express mostly. But in case of recessive, whether this is homozygous in nature, in case of haploid plants, the recessive mutation is coming out as the phenotype. So the answer is recessive mutation. The haploid plant can be obtained by culturing. Obviously, the pollen grain. Other rest of the options are diploid. So the answer is pollen grain. And some plants, the endosperm is diploid. So in fourth question was which one of the following is best studied for the generation of a virus-free plant? The answer is meristem culture, because the meristem is the dividing tissue. It is a dividing tissue. The main property of the dividing tissue that it doesn't contain any type of virus in it. So this is the main reason of this will be the answer here. In case of fifth question, the question was large scale. I asked how can we generate a haploid in large scale. Some of you gave the answer anther culture, but I mentioned that pollen, the number of pollen is much higher than number of anther in a plant. So to produce haploid plants in a large scale, you should go for the pollen culture. The hybrids are the cytoplasmic hybrid, the angiosperm. In angiosperm, the endosperm is triploid in nature. The critical, it is the first artificial polyploidy, because allopolyploid means the ploidy, the hybrid between two different species. The This is known as allo, and if the ploidy level is generated in the same species, it is known as the autopolyploidy. And why it is artificial? Because it is done in the lab. The crossing was made between Triticum aestivum and rye, and this is the result. The artificial allopolyploidy is the answer. The male gametophyte is pollen grain, female gametophyte is embryo sac, tetrad is 4 microspore in a pollen sac, not 4 ovule, because the number of ovule depends on the plant species. But in a microspore pollen sac, always there are always 4 microspore in a pollen sac. Now the question 12, the sucrose is the answer, mostly used carbon source. Second one is cold treatment is the answer that is required for the pre-treatment for haploid production. Some of you have asked that if we answer the hot treatment, obviously we can use hot treatment, but the temperature is about 30 degrees centigrade to 35 degrees centigrade, which is not given in the option. The option is here heat treatment at 60 degrees Celsius, that is detrimental for the plant in the culture condition. The disomic haploid can be represented as n+1. The 15th question was wrong, and I gave all of you the full marks in here because I forgot to mention the nalisomic haploid. The term haploid is missing here, and if the haploid is incorporated in this question, the answer will be n-1. And if a hexaploid plant contains 72 chromosomes, the single set chromosome means 72 divided by 6 because it is hexaploid. So the single set of chromosome will contain 12 chromosomes. The 72 divided by 6 is equal to 12. The haploid plant produced from male gametophyte is known as androgenesis. Haploid plant potential material for direct mutation, homozygous line, improved crop improvement, all of these are answer. The first report of India is Guha and Maheshwari in 1964. They developed the haploid radish, haploid datura in culture condition. And the last question, MCQ question, was that direct androgenesis occurs in tobacco and mustard. Only the family Solanaceae and Brassicaceae family was made was able to develop androgenesis directly, and this is the answer. Only A and B is the answer. Now come to the long answer type questions. Basically the number which I gave here is much more number you have I gave there, because you this is the scoring part. You can write less and get a big mark in you can that is your opportunity to get some more marks here. Although these are a long answer type question, but you have to write very little. So the questions are how photoperiodism helps in the plant growth and development. Most of you have written a huge answer, but the development, I asked the term development and growth. That means you have to mention the you have to mention about the flowering and the plant growth also, because the flower is the reproductive organ, and it only sprouts when the vegetative growth resumes. Vegetative growth halts. So a plant when bloomed, it is the action of the first of all the vegetative growth must be stopped, and the photoreceptors, those are present in the plant, those are able to capture the wavelengths of light, that is red, far red and blue lights are trapped trapped by the photoreceptors known as phytochrome and cryptochrome. You should mention these terms, you should mention these points to gain some more marks. So that is the answer. I think you all now can give the correct answer. And now comes the question, second question: discuss how ploidy level helps in the plant breeding. Basically you have to write here the I mentioned in the class that Number of the ploidy level means the number of chromosomes in a organism. So the number of chromosome when increasing, and that means the number of proteins and all the genes are expressed. In case of higher ploidy level, the expression of gene is more, and more gene expression means the more protein or more hybrid vigor. You have to mention these terms, hybrid vigor. Basically, you all, some of you have written that, uh, also mentioned there is some nalisomic effect, also some aberration is there also. Obviously chromosomal ploidy is an example of aberration, but that doesn't mean it have some destructive effect on the plants. You have to write about the beneficial effects. Okay, so basically you can mention here about the hybrid vigor. You can mention the polyploids crop. You can mention about the examples like the mustard and wheat. Those are polyploid in nature. You can also mention the hybridization between two different species to develop a allo polyploid, and so on. So this is the basically the points of this answer, which you have to write here. Next, come to the third question. Write a short note on anther culture with diagram. This is very easy. You have to write the protocol of anther culture and not the protocol of pollen culture. Some of you have mixed up this two in the same answer, but do not do this. Either I have to reduce your marks here, and some of them have given the diagram, the printed diagram in this questions, in this answer. So please do not do that. You please draw these diagram by your hand. And come to the fourth question. Write down the mechanism of diploidization in plant. The diploidization means you can reduce the chromosome number from a polyploids, and you can gain the chromosome number in case of haploid. You can write both of them. So to reduce the chromosome number from a polyploid, uh, you should eliminate some duplicated chromosomes that you can write here. And to double the chromosome number, there are two mechanisms. One is called colchicine treatment, and another one is endomitosis. You have to write these points in this question to answer the question. And you can also mention there's the chemical. You can also write it by giving it separating it by some chemical treatment or non-chemical treatment. In the section of chemical treatment, you can write the colchicine experiment, or in the non-chemical treatment, you can write the endomitosis. uh, that is I think the best option to gain some more marks. Now come to the fifth question. How does colchicine work in the increasing of chromosome number? Basically, you have to write the basic principle of colchicine here. How colchicine stop the migration of chromosomes during anaphase, and how it binds to the spindle fibers, microtubule fibers of chromosomal movement. You have to write this point is very important. And if you do not write this ones, then no marks you can get. And after that, come to the last question. Write down the advantages of gynogenesis. Basically, the advantages of gynogenesis and androgenesis are same. What is the difference? You can add this point I mentioned. I already mentioned here in the class, that when the androgenesis is not possible, only that time we choose the gynogenesis, because there is only ovary in a flower, and there are numerous anther and pollens are there. So pollen androgenesis is far better option to choose than gynogenesis. But when the androgenesis is not possible due to the some male sterility of the plant, we only then choose the gynogenesis. So this is the main advantage of gynogenesis, and other rest of the advantages are same, just like the androgenesis. Like it can be useful for produce the homozygous line, it can be useful for the study of mutations and so on. So students, I think this is enough to understand how to write a question paper, how to write the answers of the questions, and I think this is helpful for you. So best wishes for your exam. Thank you.